want to turn our focus to Nigeria, where the military there has struck back at armed terrorists that have been on a rampage attacking Christians and Muslims. This past week alone, about 60 terrorists were reported to have been killed by government forces. But between the years 2019 to 2023, the militants killed more than 55,000 people, Allison.
So joining us now to discuss this genocide, where religion and faith is a huge factor, we have international human rights attorney Tiffany Barrans, Global Advocacy Director for Open Doors International. Tiffany, thank you very much for being here. Help us understand what's causing this current wave of brutal violence.
Yeah, I think thanks first for having me on and covering this really important topic and story. In Nigeria, I think one of the problems we're seeing is both the terrorists that you just referenced in the north of Nigeria, which the government is going after. That's the Boko Haram group and what's called ISWAP, which is related to ISIS. Unfortunately, now a household name. But we also have kind of an additional conflict that's in the middle of the country, and this is by armed Fulani militants. And actually, it's the armed Fulani militants that kill more Christians every year than even the terrorist organizations in the north. And so we're seeing an uptick of violence, both in abductions and killings, by, unfortunately, more than one actor.
Sounds like total chaos. So, what's the government doing, or why can't they get these disparate groups under some kind of control?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the government of Nigeria has definitely focused its priority. You can see that its military has been focused primarily in the north of Nigeria. Those are the states in which it's predominantly Muslim in population. Small quantities of Christians, however, live there. They are definitely the target group. And they've focused their attention there with the terrorist groups. We haven't seen the same level of focus with the Fulani militants. And as I said, 55% of all deaths for the Christian community come from those Fulani militants. And so, I applaud them. It is a difficult situation. They need more support from the international community to do this and do this well. But we need to make sure that their attention isn't just at the terrorist level, but also concentrating in the middle and the center of the country where we're seeing the largest number of deaths now.
And I mean, as you describe it, it's so deadly, it's so dangerous, it's so chaotic. So, how does your organization, Open Doors International, begin to work with government to stop this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely difficult. I think one of the things that needs to start happening is we need to work on the impunity issue, specifically for those in the Fulani tribe. So we haven't seen anybody be prosecuted. Many of them are known to the government, known to, of course, those who are victims who have survived these attacks. And I think there needs to be a partnership. Both we're doing this as a civil society organization, but definitely a partnership between the U.S. government and the Nigerian government to build their capacity to bring prosecutions, not just charges against people, actual prosecutions that will start to deter behavior, and we will see people have the justice that they've sought for years, for their families, for the confiscations of their lands, for the deaths of their children, their sons, their daughters. And so that issue of impunity needs to be a place where we in civil society, but also a government partnership is needed.
So these militants feeling like there are no repercussions is what you're saying. So talk to us about what the future does look like for religious violence in Nigeria.
I think one of the difficult things is we want to make it a single issue. We want to say it's only about a religion, it's only about ethics, ethnicities, or it's only about land grabbing, which is constantly what we hear from the government side. But we actually, to address and have a solution that is shaped for the problem, we need to make sure that we look at all of the root causes. Unfortunately, it's not as simple. It's not just black and white. It's not just about land anymore and resources. It's not just about ethnicity. In Nigeria, these things are very interwoven together. And so to have a solution to fit the problem, we actually need to identify what are all the drivers of what's happening. Of course, with the terrorist organizations, it's a bit more clear cut, right? We know their ideology. They express their ideology even just recently. ISIS came out and said across the whole of the nation, for Christians specifically, there was a warning issued earlier this month that you either convert to Islam, you pay what's called the jizya, a tax out of humiliation, or you will die. And that was what they announced earlier this month. So with them, it's a bit more cut and dry. You're attacking ideology. But in the middle, as I said, with the Fulani militants, the thing we need is immediate protection. We need the military to come on site and be able to respond quickly, which is unfortunately a complaint by the locals that they don't respond quickly. And we need to see, as I said, deterrence through prosecutions, actual prosecutions. The government knows who these actors are and need to go in and crack down on them. And that's actually where I think the government has the most influence, even more influence than over the terrorist organizations.
Tiffany Barrans, thank you for explaining all of that to us. That helps us understand it much better. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the good work that Global Advocacy, that Open Doors International is doing. Really appreciate you being with us this morning.